I like to break down the wall between artist and fan.
What we call the fourth wall.
Exactly. And I don't like it. Like, I like people to leave my shows feeling like they could be my friend, or like, you know, like I think there's a lot of relatability in my music and in the way that I talk. And I want people to feel that. And I think In Real Life kind of perfectly describes that for me. It kind of perfectly describes who I want to be as an artist and what I want to talk about and what I want to give to people. And it's an In Real Life experience. And I think with the album, also In Real Life was the perfect title because it meant that I could kind of talk about anything. I didn't want to lock myself into anything too much, because I think on my first album, Love and Compromise, that was obviously very, very specific to relationships and love. Whereas with this album, I wanted to be able to talk about other things. And when we wrote that song, it just felt like the perfect title to an album.
We'll get back to that maybe later, but like In Real Life is also a term that appeared because of a digital world and social networks and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, your album and first tour was a bit slowed down. I mean, the tour of the first album, sorry, was a bit slowed down with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Was it also a way to say, okay, this is happening now and nothing's going to change it,
Yes.
and nothing's going to change the way of things?
Yeah, for sure. And also because we basically had 2 years of not being IRL. We had like 2 years of Zoom and FaceTime and texting. And I think by the time it came to making this album, I was excited that everything was going to be in real life again, and that people were going to be able to experience it in real life and it not be online and it not all be via social networks. So, yeah, so you're totally right.
First album, Love and Compromise. Second album, IRL. You said you talk about other things. Maybe we'll talk about that. But you still talk a lot about love and relationships.
Yes, of course.
Is it like, what else? Or is it, or you have so many relationships that you need to, put through the filter of your songwriting?
I think what it is that I think love and in love and relationships, there is so many avenues that you can go down. And I think that it isn't as simple as just being in love with somebody or breaking up with somebody. I think there are so many small intricacies and complexities that are involved in those worlds, and I think that's why I'm always constantly inspired by it. Like I have now been in a long-term, well, I say long, I just hit 3 years with my current boyfriend.
Congrats.
Thank you. Big win for me. And I think, in my mind, I thought being in a long-term relationship would mean that I wouldn't be inspired to talk about stuff anymore. But there's so much that happens in a long relationship that doesn't happen in just kind of in the dating world. So I think the reason why I think so many artists talk about it is because it is so relatable and it is IRL and it is what people are going through. And I think it's important. I think humans want to share and we want to connect and we want to feel like we're not the only person going through a feeling. And I think I really like the fact that I'm able to speak about it in music,
Who were the artists, maybe just 2 or 3, you yourself related to growing up and, living your first love stories?
Well, so I think I've always described myself as a storyteller, and I think I was inspired by other storytellers. So as a kid, I think one of my first, I would say my favorite album as a kid was probably Adele 19. It was kind of, for me, it was her kind of rawest moment. She was young and a lot of the songs were quite stripped back. A lot of them were just guitar and vocal or keys and vocal. And I just was so in awe of her stories and how she talked about love and heartbreak. And so I would say Adele. I would say there's an artist that I really loved as a kid that I still love, but as a kid she really inspired me, an artist called Corinne Bailey Rae, who was also from the UK. She was also of dual heritage and she was from Leeds, so I kind of related to her probably also just as a girl and not just from a music perspective. And then I think probably I think it was really clear that when I was about 12 or 13, I really, really loved Ed Sheeran. And I loved that first album. And I loved the way that, again, just the way that he would tell stories. And he would tell them, I think he does it in a way where you almost feel like he could be saying it. It's so conversational. And I was always really inspired by that. So I think you can hear in my music that there's obviously huge R&B and soul influence, but there's a lot of other stuff in there as well that does come from my kind of slightly maybe eclectic music taste.
It's nice and fun because we know obviously the role Ed Sheeran had with you, and you've opened for Adele.
Yeah.
So this is destiny. And in what maybe capacity is not the right word, but in what way your mom, who was also a singer in a band, helped you get there and help you? What kind of we know what Ed Sheeran told you and helped you get through. Well, what did she, or did she not, or is it something you don't share?
She definitely did. I think both of my because my dad also, when I was a kid, he also played the guitar and wrote music. So I was always watching them and just. I think that's really why I started, because I was watching them do it. You know, when you're a kid, you might listen to music and think, wow, that's an amazing thing, but I'm never going to be able to do that because that person is so far away from me. But I think watching my parents do it made it possible for me to do, because I could see that they were doing it and enjoying it, and it was a thing that could happen.
It's a regular job
exactly,
at the end of the day.
Yeah. And so they were definitely a huge part of why I started. And they were always so supportive, which I think people really don't realise is a huge privilege, you know, because I know a lot of kids who wanted to do music but maybe didn't have the support from their parents. So I think my parents are a huge reason as to why I'm an artist now. Tsugi.